Okay. I would like to welcome each of you to the regular board meeting for the Board of Directors for October. If you would stand with the pledge for me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And at this time, we will have Celebrating Success.
Kim and Tommy are going to take care of that for us.
Okay.
Tommy.
Somebody's got to tell you if you're doing it, huh?
This is someone that I recommended for Celebrating Success. I'll read the letter I sent in. I would like to nominate Lisa Pappin, Catering and Event Sales Manager, for Celebrate Success. Since taking over her position unofficially in August and officially in September, she has received rave reviews for her commitment to service excellence and detail. Here is one of her latest from a 5-star review bride. My husband and I selected Lake Point as our venue for our wedding and reception destination. The lakefront location provided the scenery of a destination wedding without the travel cost. Lisa was very responsive and personable to responding to all our questions and requests for assistance. We met with her prior to our special day, and she assisted us in getting everything set up and to find quality local vendors to make our day complete. On our special day, Lisa and the staff at Lake Point were very attentive and guaranteed that our wedding day plans were delivered exactly as we had planned. After the wedding ceremony, our family gathered for the reception. The food quality and flavors were exceptional. My husband and I were extremely happy with Lisa's attention to details and would recommend her and Lake Point as a wedding reception destination. And this is only one of several 5-star reviews she has received in such a short time for events at both BV Bar and Grill and Lake Point. Lisa has proven to be a valuable addition to the F&B family and receives 5-star reviews from all of us as well. Miss Lisa Pappin. You have to come up here, Lisa.
I gotta go up there.
Good job. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Kim, could you stay here for a second? This was, Kim was nominated by Tony, and we tried to keep it a secret from her, but I'm not sure that we were that successful in doing it. But this is what Tony nominated Kim, and he says, Kim started with the POA in April of 2018 as the payroll and benefits administrator in the HR department. In one manner or another, Kim's position affects every employee for the POA. Her duties include a wide range of time-sensitive and critical projects which require independent thinking while making critical decisions. Many of her duties fall under the scrutiny of both state and federal programs, which must be completed both timely and accurately. Due to an unexpected long-term absence by another member of the HR department, Kim volunteered to assume that individual's duties in addition to her own without hesitation. Those additional duties are also essential to the POA in recruiting our employees and conducting orientation for new employees. I office next to Kim, and throughout this employee's absence, and to my astonishment, Kim has always maintained an open-door policy, willing to assist each and every POA employee with any questions or problems, notwithstanding her other projects and deadlines. Thank you, Kim. Congratulations. And last but not least, we have one more here. Tom, could you hit that PowerPoint for me? And Ruth, if you could come help me out over here. Sure. So we also try to keep this a secret from Tom as well. But Tom, could you come forward, please? So, Tom Judson recently joined an elite group of community association managers who have earned the large-scale manager credential from the Community Associations Institute. The path to achieve the LSM designation is arduous, requiring a great deal of work and persistence. Tom is one of fewer than 70 managers worldwide who have earned this prestigious designation. The Community Associations Institute is an international organization dedicated to building better communities. With over 32,000 members, CAI and its 60 chapters work on behalf of the professionals and volunteers engaged in the management and governance of homeowner and condominium associations and other planned communities. To earn the specialized large-scale manager credential, managers must have at least 10 years of experience in community association management and complete more than 100 hours of coursework. They must also have previously earned the industry's highest credential, the Professional Community Association Manager designation. To earn that designation, managers must have 5 years of community association management experience and complete more than 100 hours of coursework. Credentialed PCAMs and LSMs must fulfill continuing education and service requirements as well as adhere to a code of ethics. As part of this process, Tom has written and had published several articles for Common Ground, the CAI's monthly publication. And Tom has stressed to each of us as directors and managers, and you see them all out there, they're here to recognize you today. He stresses the importance of education, and he's taken that to heart. And I've seen firsthand the amount of work that's gone into accomplishing that. He set a goal for himself a few years ago and has done a great job pursuing that. With that, please join me in recognizing Tom on this major accomplishment.
On behalf of the entire board, the management team, and all of people in Bella Vista, the POA, we congratulate you, Tom. It's a fine honor, well-deserved honor, and work very hard for. So we appreciate your efforts, we appreciate your work, and guarantee we'll put that to good use. Okay, at this time, my understanding is we have two proxies. Jim Abrahamson has unrestricted? Yes. Okay, and I have David Brandenburg's, which is unrestricted also. So those are the two proxies we have tonight.
Who do you have?
I have David Brandenburg, he has David Wetzel.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, we'd like to approve the minutes for September 26th regular board meeting. I ask for a motion.
So move.
A second, please. Mary, any discussion on the minutes? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of the minutes as read or as stated? Okay, I have two.
Okay.
October 17th, board work session meeting. May entertain a motion for that one.
So move.
Okay, Steve, thank you. Second? Jerry? Thank you. Any discussion on the work session? Any changes or additions? If not, I'll call for a vote at this time on that. All those in favor? I have two, and Jim has two. Okay, those being passed, joint advisory committees. We have lakes. And I think we have them all represented tonight, so.
I'm Kelly Austin, Vice Chair on the Lakes Committee, and they asked me to come give a report on a few things going on. As you know, our lakes had two major flood events early in the month and have quite a bit of damage downstream mostly, a lot of docks and things along the water, private property that had some damage, but our groups personnel are slowly working to help the folks get those cleaned up. Each winter, the lake personnel draw down a lake, and this year they have Lake Ann on the agenda. Lake Windsor was last year. So I think they plan to start drawing that down towards the end of November, and those folks on that lake can do their work they need to this year. And the biggest thing we have going on, we're still listening to residents and collecting data on the wake boat issue, and we hope to have a proposal to pass on to the board by the December meeting to make a decision on that. We have a lot of opinions of people who like them, and also people who either want the distance where they can operate push further out or move them off their lake altogether. So we're still listening to those opinions.
Okay. My understanding is that that's in hope to be resolved before January 1 registration for boats.
That's correct.
Okay. The other issue, my understanding from the meeting was it was very helpful for people to have their kayaks and canoes and things registered when the water came up. It was easy to return them.
Very much.
So we really appreciate everybody doing that because it helps everybody get your boat back to you, but it
We have
also
their
helps.
data, if we have the number of their stickers, so it's easy to locate
Good.
them.
Good.
Correct.
Any questions of Kelly? If not, we appreciate you subbing in, Kelly, for your chairman the last 2 months and also for coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recreation. Gary.
Hi, I'm Gary Griffin. I'm the chairman of the Recreation Committee. Give you a little update on what we went over on October 14th during our meeting. The amenity reports took most of the time simply because of the damage that happened over the last two storms. Branchwood survived. They also had a disc golf tournament that took place not too long ago, and I'll talk just a little bit about that later. Lake Ann had a lot of debris that was being cleaned up as well. Loch Lomond Park took some extensive damage, especially to one of the dog parks. And but what was interesting is the following Wednesday, the field was being used for a softball game, which was good. Scores tables being worked on, and the Wiener Dog race was a huge success from what I understand. As it relates to the gun range, pistol rifle ranges have been busy every time I've been out there. That's my amenity. And numbers have been up. There's been a lot of, I've had an opportunity to spend some time with Carol and out there. And so everything seems to be doing quite well. Blowing Springs, busy, Flea in the Park. We had a bike race as well. And there was also a biking event that took place as well a little bit later. So, London Park, gravel. Metfield had gravel in the parking lot as well. Tanya Creek took a hit, but with the volunteers and the POA members, it's gotten cleaned up pretty quickly, as much as they can at this point. Lake Avalon got hit pretty hard, but there was a big thank you out to the POA members who came out and helped get that cleaned up as quickly as possible. From a staff report standpoint, most of this you know about. From a marketing perspective, Jose Mendoza, who is one of the people who's responsible for helping getting the disc golf working and had the last tournament, is looking to having a longest day tournament as well, which supports Alzheimer's Association. And there were a couple of people from Jones Group, Trey Anson, and as well as Jessica, to give them some recognition relative to the things that they have done. And our next meeting will be at 4 p.m. on Monday, November 11th.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions for Gary? If not, we thank you very
Thank
much
you.
and your entire committee. Golf. Jason.
Hello, Jason Lloyd, Chairman of the Golf Committee. It's kind of real quick. We didn't have an action-packed meeting last month. Rounds continue to be down. We can't catch a break from the weather. We sound like broken record, but that's really what's happening. Merchandise sales, good news is up 11.5 over last year. So pro shops are still pushing merchandise. A lot of things are starting to go on sale. So get out and get some good gifts for the Christmas season. We're introducing a new golf report from Golf Data Tech, I believe, is the company. It's actually going to be a month behind from our meeting, but it shows nationally where the rounds are state by state. So you can really see, it's on the website now. You can see where rain events have happened and where golf is really down, and where the weather has been surprisingly nice. Golf is actually gaining speed. So interesting new thing, tool that we can look at to evaluate national golf trends. The weather, again, hampered some of the estimations for the Burksdale estimates. The fence guy, for example, had to go to Rogers and different places to work on things, so he's out to make money, not to give estimates right now. So we're still working on that, but unfortunately it's going to be delayed a little bit based off of this last weather event. which I think, Tom, you're going to go over the last weather event that we had. We keep saying it every month, it seems like, but again, kudos to Keith's team and the maintenance crew and golf operations for moving tournaments around and all that with all these weather events. They can't catch a break either, so they have been working tirelessly out there on the courses, and with the new winter staff, a lot less people doing a lot more stuff. So other than that, that was about it. We will start next month. We'll start our 8:30 meetings instead of 4 in the afternoon. So our next meeting is November 13th at 8:30 right here in the boardroom.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, Jason. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just, it's probably more for Keith, but ridding the stumps from the trailer parking areas on three golf courses, any schedule to that yet?
We will be using a contractor out of Rogers that I've contacted, and he believes he can do that pretty quickly with the machine he has, so it's imperative we get all of our debris in the 2 parking lots before we start, so we save a little money, moves in one time only. Short answer is we hope to be starting in about 3 weeks. Mac still has, on the golf course end, we've got about 4 days worth of pickup in the Burksdale one, and about 3 days left up at Highlands, and then we'll get started.
And the stuff that we took off bridges and things this time around can be taken to the same place?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The trees and the junk that came on bridges, that we took off bridges and areas, they can be taken to the same area?
Yeah, there was kind of an advantage of having it
advantage,
together because
disadvantage.
all the other debris is going
Yeah.
into the same pile,
Okay.
yes.
So they'll take it all,
That is
not
correct.
just
The only
stumps.
thing they can't take is stumps, so we have to figure out something else to do with the blowovers back from the August storm
Okay.
because they won't run that through their grinder.
Okay.
And the city's still using the Scottsdale cart parking area, and that'll probably be towards the end of the year. They have more material than us to collect.
Thank you, Jason. Keith, thank you. Community involvement. I did not see Dylan, did I? Oh, go ahead.
I've got that. I just
All
want to
right.
give you an update on the final dates. Let me pull it up so I don't say it wrong. The coat drive is going on right now. It started October 14th, going through November 3rd. We're still going to do for the first year the coat store where members can come in or anybody from the public can come in and come pick their sizes and colors at the pro shop. That's going to be the 16th and 17th of November from 10 to 3. The coat drive so far, from the people I hear that have already picked up coats, we are far exceeding last year right now. I have at least 50 at my house from members coming by, and it's going really well. I'm looking forward to it.
And we're getting good quality and
Yeah, the things that are dropped off have been really gently used.
Okay,
Just
good.
very gently, and a lot of new.
can I tell that? I don't know if T even knows this yet. Jake Grassmick came in today, and a group that he is involved in has donated $2,000 towards the coat drive to buy new coats, hats, gloves, etc. And so that happened today. So I didn't know if you were aware of that yet or not. So that's really a kudos to the group, and they donated the check. So we have that ready to go. Jake Grassmick. He used to be on the golf committee. Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of work here at the country club. It's a group that he belongs to, and it's kind of an impromptu group that he belongs to, and they donated, what do you say, $12,000 to different charities, and that happened to be one of them they donated to.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so that's good news. That's good news. We should have probably invited him tonight to do it. So, any other questions about community involvement? If not, let's go to the financial report.
All righty. Well, this is the income statement of the POA September 2019 year to date. Starting with the POA, gross profit is better than budget by $174,000. Part of this, the gain and disposal of the surplus asset, the Art Molan, $350. Membership transfers are up 88. Assessments are up 63. Recreation fees are up 63 again. Lot sales are up 53. Cell tower 48. Past due collection negative 92. Lot valuations negative 150. In golf, as they've always been mentioned about the weather, down 292.
you'll notice these are year-to-date numbers. If you look at the month-to-date numbers, you'll see that recreation is softening. It appears that people are waiting for the outcome of the assessment vote. So they're not renewing their annual fitness membership. They're not renewing their photo ID card, even though we've told everybody that they're going to get a credit towards their account if they have an account that has life left to it. It unfortunately appears that a lot of people are hitting the pause button right now. So if you look at your month-to-date financials, you'll see that recreation is actually soft.
Moving on to comparison against prior year, cell tower, as we've seen earlier this year, $1,069,000. Gain on disposal of surplus asset, again the Artmo land, $350,000. Boat income's up 121, yes. Assessments $117 in this comparison. Stump dump negative $107. Past due collections negative $136. Golf a negative $140. And lot valuations negative $150. Operation expenses are negative $1947. Salaries and wages are positive. Golf and operations, 84% of that, $242. Employee benefits or health and claims, positive $90. Utilities, positive $76. And professional services, this is the big one, the stump dump, a negative $2,667,000. Compared to prior year, equipment and tools are better by $161. Employee benefits, again, health claims, $137. Salary and wages better by $81. Negative, again, professional services, stump dump, a negative $2,562,000. EBITDA is a negative $1,773,000 for the numbers that you've seen above. If we take that same sheet, eliminate stump dump, eliminate one-time cell tower revenue, and the gain that we made on the Artmo land, we're positive $515,000. So we're operating good if it wouldn't been for those huge big thing at the stump dump. Water utility, same time frame, gross profit is negative $168. Water usage is down $127, and investment income is down $41. Prior year comparison, negative $157, water is down $131, and investments down $29. Positive is scrap metal disposal of $17. Operating expenses is better than budget by $148,000. Labor is $57,000. Employee benefits $32. Again, health claims. Donations better by $25. And maintenance repairs better by $17. Prior year equipment is better by $115. Labor $45. Employee benefits $39. Donations $30. Supplies due to water meter purchases negative $41,000, and outside contracts negative $98 due to the water cellular pass-through cost that we didn't have.
It's a one-time deal, isn't it?
It's one-time purchases, year-to-date type of thing. Yeah. And the EBITDA on the water is a negative $20,000. That concludes my report. Any questions?
I do have one. In more of our detail, we have a divisional income statement of general income and expense, and that includes the income of the total assessments, I believe.
Correct, that's correct.
And the $3.9 million of expenses, where is that?
A lot of the expenses is the salary, is the stump dump, 2.7, and
That's
other
all.
expenses are health insurance and property taxes.
That's all wrapped into expenses?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes. Steve?
Right. Just a sort of a general clarification. I guess looking at the sort of the same thing, the POA income statement, you'd have the professional services fire laid out at about 2.8 million.
Yeah, that's the stump dump.
Okay. And then I assume by the end of the year that might be 4 million, 4.1. There's
Yeah.
It's not going to be $4 million because we
Yeah, some of it was last year.
Some of it was last
1.6
year.
was last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we spent 4.8 to ERM already.
Okay. And then, so we sold the ARC.
3.8, yeah, less of 4, excuse me.
Okay. And then we sold the ARCMO land. That cash came in and has gone out, evidently, to pay for some of the fire expenses. Is that correct? Okay. That was it?
Okay.
It appears that when it rains, we get a double whammy. People use less water and we have more problems.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem fair, does it?
double hit.
Doesn't seem
Take it
fair
down.
for some reason. So, okay, thank you, Dwayne. Okay, last month's open forum, there was no property owner that chose to speak at the open forum. And at this time, you'll be limited to 3 minutes, and if you will state your name and the street in which your property is on, we'd appreciate it. And at this time, I have no one signed up to speak, but is there anyone who'd like to speak? If not, we'll close open forum and move into updates to Trafalgar site.
I'm going to cover Highlands first. Pleased to announce that ADQ approved our modified plan for the Highlands site. The modification was reducing the footprint down to 7 acres, down from 10 acres. We anticipate that the geosynthetic clay liner will be delivered towards the middle of November. So once that gets delivered, we'll get that will start getting put out. With regards to the Trafalgar site, we did sustain some damage as a result of the flooding. This past Monday, the October 21st, we had an inspection by representatives of ADQ. Both parties agreed that the POA would consult with ERM to develop plans on how to correct the flood damage. On a separate note, ADQ is very pleased with the amount of erosion controlling grass that we've been able to grow in that area. That's going to help in the long run sustain that area. We just had a very unusual amount of rainfall in that area, and it really hit us hard. And they understood. They were not upset in any way. They just wanted to check the site and just make sure that we were doing everything possible to make sure that we got back on track. Any questions regarding the 2 stump dumps?
What damage can a flood do to that, just the land? I thought we were just to the point where we're regrowing grass. What does it do?
Well, you get a lot of erosion and scour. There's a tremendous amount of water that came down that area. It just created ruts and moved soil. The weir at the bottom got filled up. The retention pond at the bottom got filled up with the debris. We now have to pull that out and so forth. So those are the types of things that occur. As the area gets fully established with the grass, that should hold everything in place.
But had we not had the additional rains, they were happy with the grass that had grown in and what we did for that.
We would, if it hadn't been for the flooding, we would be in really good shape.
And in good shape, meaning they were supposed to approve the phase 1 in September, and they didn't. So now, because of this remedy, they're going to delay the approval of us exiting the site.
Yeah, well, and keep in mind, we anticipate this to be a rather lengthy process. We're into phase 2 at this point, correct?
Yes.
But I anticipate that it's going to take a while before they sign off on it. We still have to do some additional testing at the site, so forth. So this is going to delay us a little bit, but I could probably say that we need to give the board monthly updates, but we could probably give the board quarterly updates and be just as current.
Okay. But this required ERM rather than MAC, the erosion that happened?
We just want to make sure we do it right.
Okay.
We have a great rapport with ERM. ADQ has a great rapport with ERM. We just want to make sure that we get it fixed the right way, that everybody is happy. We've had a great relationship with ADQ from day one. We don't want to stray from that. Any other questions?
And we don't know if we can do some in-house or not.
A lot of the work I'm sure we will be able to do in-house, but until the plan is developed, then we won't know for certain.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the stump dumps?
Doug, I have to ask every meeting, any update on reclaiming anything that we've spent?
probably the same thing that Tom said. Quarterly updates would probably probably be sufficient. But we are we have a
My boss, but he said 2 and 8. It's 2 and 4.
2 and 4.
8 is the one that we know what we're going to do on.
Yeah.
Second thing is, the engineer, when they came out, first time said we could drive nothing larger than a pickup truck across 2. Same thing on 4. 8, we still have some repair to do ourselves, Mac, to get it where it's not the bridge, it's the pathway on and off that we're going to do a temporary fix on so that we can get access as soon as we can where we can get around the golf course. That is the goal.
And we had Keith here. I'm gonna give you the rest of the breakdown in just a moment, but we invited Keith here just in case we had additional questions. At Kingswood, work was done. Has been done or is being done to the bunker sand, the bridge railing replacement, and cart path overlay repairs at 3, 4, and 14. The estimated cost is $16,000. At the Country Club, bunker repair work at number 11, 12, 17. Cart overlay repair work at 4. Cart path redo with concrete at 11T and 17 Green. And various irrigation material. Estimated cost for the Country Club is $42,500. Scottsdale, not including the bridge work. We have cart path overlay work at number 8. Mainline irrigation replacement at 2 and 8. Bridge and bank stabilization at 8. And riprap repair at 5, 11, 16, 17 for a total cost, estimated cost of $74,000. Dogwood riprap repair on number 14, estimated cost is $5,000. Highlands riprap repair on number 5, $5,000. Gulf Central underground drainage pipe failure, estimated cost is $5,000. So the known estimated cost at this point is $147,000. Any questions for Keith?
Once you get the Crafton and Toll estimate for numbers 2 and 4 and 8, which will be significant, and permitting time lapse and everything, that's going to be a significant engineering, permitting, and completion of new abutments, or however we do it. But what we'll need to weigh with you and Tom will be whether to even consider reopening the front 9 until next spring. That'll be a factor too because of all of this process.
Yeah, number 8, we can temporarily get fixed, and we think a local contractor can do the repairs on 8. So it's really 2 and 4, and they are pretty positive, obviously, that the bridge structure itself is safe. The problem with 2, of those of you who were out there that saw it, was the bankments around it that we have to stabilize for sure, and then they do want to do something around the abutments to protect them going forward. Short answer is it could be quite some time for the permitting and getting contractors and doing the bids. The good news is that's not the same permitting as would be required on Little Sugar because it's not a U.S. waterway, so we have less. We don't have to do some of the big federal ones. Probably. That's what they're checking into. So the first thing I asked them to give us was what permitting we would need, so we kind of knew where we were going from a timeline. The regular engineer that we've used in the past had been out. He will be back next week, so I anticipate we'll get some answers a little quicker once he gets back and looks at it.
Any other questions regarding the flood damage? Mary?
The ball field is going to stay where it is and just be...
Yeah, the ball field we're working on replacing the fencing there, but the long-term concern on that is, and Mike and Keith referenced this on Tuesday, is now that all those trees have been removed where the stream turns, it's possible that it's a straight shot into the ball field, and that could impact that area. which is also part of the reason why we're considering relocating both parts of the dog park, because that area could, in all possibility, get blown out at some point in the future. It's pretty much, if you look at the spillway, you can draw almost a straight line between the spillway, the little dog park, and the ball field. And the water just doesn't want to take that sharp right-hand turn.
We need a break.
We do need a break.
Any others regarding the flood? Thank you, Keith, for coming in. 2020.
2020 plan, just a brief recap. I was able to give a total of 55 speeches. My compliments to Ruth Hatcher. She attended about 50 of those. Appreciate the support. There was approximately 1,500 attendees that attended those speeches. The video that we put together, there's been approximately 1,600 views of those videos. I really want to compliment the 303 volunteers that made 17,200 calls to get out the vote. They were successful in getting a hold of 15,000 property owners. That compares to, in 2016, there were a total of 12,000 calls, and they were able to get a hold of 9,000 property owners. We had more bad numbers, and so we were able to go from contacting or reaching 9,000 to moving that up to 15,000. And now that includes voicemails and so forth, so that was reaching someone. And then all the numbers that were bad, all that information is pulled together and goes to member services, and then they try and update that information. So we try and use that information. That's great. So our volunteers really hit the ball out of the park. They did a fantastic job. And we're going to be having what's the date of that, Tammy? We're going to have a volunteer appreciation event coming up in about 3 weeks, and we're going to send out that announcement. Appreciate the attendance of the board members if they can, because we really want to compliment our volunteers for really going above and beyond. We had a lot of volunteers that put in many, many hours, and it's very appreciated. At this point, and you can see it, we are just a little over 2 weeks in, and we are at 35.3% of the vote. That's pretty amazing. But every vote counts, and we encourage every property owner to cast their vote.
Just a question. The people who mail their ballot back and abstain, they didn't vote yes or no, it was blank. Any guess of how many that's going to be? Maybe 10 or 5 or
I don't think it's going to be a significant
I can't
number.
imagine it being significant that they didn't say yes or no, but.
Well, and yeah, you're correct on that. I mean, for a person to go through the effort of mailing back the ballot and go through that effort, but not, marking one of the circles, I can't see that being more than just a few. But Doug went through and made sure all the instructions are as clear as possible on the ballot to help people out as much as possible.
And very visible.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fine print at the bottom of the page or anything like that, so.
Is there a percentage of people who do mail it in versus online voting?
Last
number?
The last time it was approximately 50-50. I would think that more people, and this is just me guessing outright, I would think that more people would vote online as the years go by. So 16, it was approximately 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe 60-40, but we'll see when we're at the end of it. It's really way too early to try and look at any analysis of the information.
We don't have any to look at.
Yeah. All we can get is how many have voted. And anybody can do that. If you voted online, after you vote, you can still get back in. You can't vote again, but you can see what the percentage is, and that's what I did just a moment ago. I just looked up, and it's 35.3. So it does appear that we're getting a lot of participation, but every vote counts. We encourage every property owner to cast their vote.
Have the paper ballots that have been received by the company been factored into that 35%?
Yes. Yeah. It's usually you can see it's about a 1 week delay. So the online ballots get voted immediately, and then it between the paper ballots getting to people's houses and then them casting the vote, it's about a 1 week delay. And so, you know, I don't know how many paper ballots have been processed compared to online. No idea. But we're 2 weeks in, so I'm sure there is a substantial number of paper ballots included in that. There's just only so much information we can get. We have a third party that handles it. We don't touch any of the ballots.
We do it for a reason. Any other questions?
From memory, I know you don't have it on you or anything, but can you remember 2016, like 2 weeks in, about how much participation? Like, I'm sorry, I know it's crazy.
No, so we diligently track that information and we can't find it. So we're going from my memory, which doesn't mean anything sometimes. I think we're probably 10% ahead of last time, and that's an out-and-out guess from 3+ years ago. But we're approximately 10% ahead. It seems like people are voting sooner. We'll know towards the end. Last time we had 57% participated, so we'll see if we get more than that. I hope a large portion of our community participates.
Any other questions? That's 3 secretaries ago, I might add.
That's 3 secretaries.
That might account for some of the misplacement. Anything else for the good of the cause?
I do have one thing, and that's back to Keith and Jason and Tom again, and it's back to that Scottsdale golf course topic. Since we'll have the irrigation connected in about 3 weeks, maybe at the time of the golf committee meeting next month, we would have a feel from Crafton and Toll whether the 3 bridges are structurally safe to allow golf carts to go across, where we may reopen the front 9 this year instead of next spring, aside from temporary work on those bridges.
Yeah, actually, the irrigation on number 8 is complete. We have water running that way. We pressured it up today. The other side they will work on next week, about 3 days they should have that. So I would hope when Crafton gets here and the gentleman we've worked with in the past will give us something that says, yes, it's usable, because my idea would be we would play the golf course like normal while we're doing whatever it is we determine to try to do to repair the bridges. There's no reason just to stay closed till the engineering is complete, until we start work. So that would be the goal.
Why don't you explain the importance of why we move so fast on getting the irrigation fixed?
Yeah, you wouldn't think it looking outside right now, but the irrigation is key for our greens over there, not the other turf this time of year, because if you have to keep moisture levels in them when we start getting colder weather, which is coming up in the low 30s, because it's if you don't keep the moisture correct on the greens going in the winter, you have a chance of losing that turf. So water was critical, so that's why we wanted to get that done, because we had no water on any of the holes but 3 greens there on the front. That's all we had.
And the reason I asked that was for the sake of the golf groups, and I know some of the golf groups during the winter months are hesitant to play the back 9 twice because it's our hardest 9 anyway, and they're wondering if we can get a response to that decision here within the next few weeks. It would help some of them and help Darrell's department from relocating some groups through the winter months.
Well, Darrell, I hesitate to speak for him, but I know from our past experience, they are not booking shotguns in groups other than tea times on Scottsdale anyway, because it's difficult on short notice to move a large shotgun if we find out we need to cover. So that won't be quite as big an issue as maybe you would think.
Anything else?
Just one thing that I noticed this week, and a lot of members online were talking about it, is the member appreciation event and the fact that we're charging $5. And some people thought that seemed unfair to have an appreciation event where you had to charge, but I understand that even if it was free, we'd be reamed for not spending or giving away free money and spending too much money. What is the reason for charging $5?
So let's first review that. So the member appreciation event is we're going to have 2 bands. We're going to have one or entertainers, 2 singers, one at Lake Point, one at the Country Club. They'll have 2 different hors d'oeuvre selections. So the brochure says, or the flyer says menu, which you asked me, that implies you have to order. No, we're going to provide the food. So you get 2 entertainments, 2 different types of food. You're going to get a wristband, so you could actually go between the 2 different. So if you wanted to spend an hour at one and an hour at the other, you could do that. And then $2 drinks. The $5, basically all of that $5 is used as gratuity for our staff.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. That's awesome.
That's where the money goes. What we've found in the past is, unfortunately, some of our property owners, when we had a free event, the first one we did last New Year's or New Year's Eve, and unfortunately, the drink specials were very inexpensive, and the food was for free, and our servers worked their tails off, and they didn't get hardly any tips. So we started charging the $5, and the $5 goes towards the employees because they really, really have to work hard. We really think this is a tremendous event, and I think you could argue on this other side. If we did it for free, then people would probably criticize us for giving stuff away. Yep. This is also an opportunity where chef will go through the freezer, and if there's any, we'll have a wedding, and we need 50 of these types of hors d'oeuvres, and we have 50 left over. They're still in great shape. They're in the freezer. He'll go through and he'll clean out his freezer, which is very helpful to him. And so what's interesting is that people come through the line, and they'll get one hors d'oeuvre they really like, and they'll come back 10 minutes later, and it's gone, and there's nothing else, and it's not coming back because he already used it. So it's a lot of flexibility. We anticipate that we'll sell 400 tickets, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'll be there.
Mary, did you have something? Okay. Anything else?
Last thing.
Okay.
What is the reason for Lake Point closing? I know there's logic behind it, but why does Lake Point close during December?
So it's in January and February, and the decision hasn't been 100% made at this point. But those are our 2 slowest months of the year. They are the absolute slowest. Many of our property owners, some of them are snowbirds, so they're out of town. And also, a lot of our property owners do not like to drive when it's dark. So we struggle to bring in enough revenue to even cover payroll. That doesn't include everything else that you have to pay for the food and everything else. We don't even bring in enough to cover payroll. So earlier this year was the first time we closed for the first 6 weeks, and it saved us money. We work with the staff. We reposition some of the staff here and try and keep them active. Plus, we go through a deep cleaning at Lake Point, so we do a lot of maintenance work. The banquet room gets dinged up and so forth. If you go to Lake Point, you'll see that it needs a little sprucing up because it's, after a year's worth of abuse. So we utilize the time well, but it's mainly because it's absolutely the slowest time of the year. And Tommy's been successful at other locations in closing for brief periods, and it makes sense. You know, it would be, in a perfect situation, we wouldn't have to close, but it's hard to get people out of the house. In 18, we moved the open time earlier. We normally open at 5. We opened at 4. Even sometimes I think we opened before that, but we couldn't get enough people because they don't want to be out when it's dark out.
The same considerations don't apply to BVs?
Not as much here. Because we have lunch here, and what you see is people will start coming in for dinner at 3 and 4 o'clock. So it's and it's a different price point, and that makes a difference too. You know, Lake Point, one of the great things about Lake Point is the $1 million view, which you can't see during the winter. So it just makes sense, and you know. But like I said, the decision hasn't been made, and we try and work with the employees and give them as much advance notice so we're not surprising them, because we understand that, you know, they got bills to pay. But we also have to make the best decision that's best for the business as a whole.
Do we still book weddings? Is it still available for an
Yeah,
event?
if there's now that's our slowest time of the year for weddings. So I want to. The answer is yes. If we have an event, we will reopen. But I don't want to be deceptive in any way. Is that is our absolute slowest time of year for events. But we do have some, and that's why we're open in December. Even though December is very similar to January, but people are willing to come out for Christmas dinners and company Christmas events, but January hits, you can't get them to come out.
Everybody's trying to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, before I go to announcements, I'm going to preface it by saying November and December are always changed anyway. So it's the first, second, and third Thursday are our meetings on both November and December. But it's special this time because we have several changes of times and locations. So we need to be, and it's on the very back of your packet is the calendar, and it's correct and up to date that I checked. Thursday, November 7th, in the boardroom is the closed meeting, and that was when the staff or the board will go over budget items. Coffee and questions, Tuesday, November 12th at 10 o'clock, and that will be at Metfield this time. We moved coffee and questions around. Board work session is a budget presentation. It is on the evening, not the morning, on Thursday, November 14th at 6 o'clock at Reardon Hall. So it's a change of location and time. The special meeting, the 2020 election results, is Tuesday, the 19th of November at 6 o'clock at Reardon Hall, and hopefully large celebration afterwards. Board of Directors regular meeting is November 21st at 6 o'clock, and that's the date change, but the time stays the same, and that's here in the boardroom. December 5th will be the GM meeting, and that's at 9 o'clock a.m. And coffee and questions is Tuesday, December 10th at 10 o'clock at the boardroom at the Country Club. The Thursday work session is at 6 o'clock in the boardroom, and the Board of Directors regular session is Thursday, December 19th at 6 o'clock.
We missed one. November 5th is the GM meeting that you added, because
Yes, it
the
is.
GM meeting is meeting on the 7th is consumed by the budget review, so the 5th is
4:30.
normal GM
At 4:30.
material at
Here in the
4:30
boardroom.
here in the boardroom.
That's the 5th, and that's a Tuesday.
The
Yep.
meeting on the 7th will last till 3-ish, 4-ish,
Yeah.
5-ish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else?
We will provide food.
Anything else for the good of the cause? If not, we thank you all for coming, and if you happen to be watching, we appreciate you watching also. So we stand adjourned.
and